Hello, hello, one and all, Nubkeks here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today I'm bringing you part 2 of a quick little look into Kael'Thas in Hero League and in Heroes of the Storm. So, in the first Kael'Thas video, I covered what is the meta build for Kael'Thas, the most standard talent build, which is to say, at level 1 you pick up Mana Addict, at levels 4 and 7 you pick up the Gravity Lapse talents, which increase its range, and then make it basically apply vulnerability. Sorry, I've got Steam open in the background, you might hear some of those noises. And yeah, basically that build focuses around using your Verdant Spheres, your D ability over here, to empower your Gravity Lapses, and then kind of comboing your stuff through it. Now, the weakness of that build, and what I want to focus on in this particular game, is, well, obviously, given that you're, let's fix the camera, given that you're using Mana Addict at level 1, which requires collecting regen orbs, and then given that your abilities are relying on your E, it's all about empowering your E ability. And that number 1, you don't get many orbs in this particular map, and that number 2, your E ability does not work on immortals, and a huge part of this map is focused around racing those immortals. What that means is that I'm going to have to use a different talent build in this particular game, and that's what I really want to focus on in this game. And using Kael'Thas to illustrate this is mixing up your talent builds to fit with the map and the particular talent picks. And one thing you're going to see is that well, the talent build I'm going to go for is quite a different playstyle to you doing all the combos in with your E ability. And you're going to see me, basically, I think, over the course of this video, sort of like adjusting my playstyle and kind of growing within the playstyle as I kind of get used to using that ability again. Unfortunately, they're not quite able to finish off the Lily. That was a little bit of a misplay on my part, I think. You see I'm almost out of mana. So the build I'm going to go for in this game, I think I can bring it up with Control 1. Indeed I can with Control 1, bring up the talent pane right here. I'm going to pick up Fell Infusion at level 1, which will increase my ability power and also heal me every time I activate Verdant Spheres. At level 4 I'm going to pick up Mana Tap, which will restore 4% of my max mana every time I activate Verdant Spheres. At level 7 I'm going to pick up Sunfire Enchantment, I believe it's called, which we'll come back to it obviously when we get there, which empowers my next basic attack every time I activate Verdant Spheres. And basically the playstyle you're going to see throughout this game, by the way, at the moment you can see I'm just getting stunned like a boss, oops. Rhaegar healing me, thank you very much. We're just racing this Immortal. I think the hopes is that we can hopefully win this first Immortal. The enemy team, as you can see, is going to scale up immensely as we go further into this game. I'll talk about the playstyle I'm going for it in a second. Let's just say something about the team comps before we get to those talents anyway in the game. If we look at the team comps, you can see they have Lunara and Sylvanas. Both heroes get a very powerful level 7 talent, which increases their non-heroic damage. So that's a big boost once they hit level 7 to their damage against these Immortals. They also have Sonya, who scales up in terms of her damage very well. Levels kind of like 4, 7, and 10, if she specs into those damage talents, which I presume she will. Myrddin can also spec into some damage later on. Let's return to my viewpoint right here. There we go. Nice catch on Sylvanas. Very badly aimed stun by myself. Oops. We're getting some decent damage down. And yeah, they also, with having Sylvanas, it makes their immortal pushes much more dangerous. It makes these pushes very powerful because she disables the structures. So we have a little bit of a challenge. I think our team has a much weaker team for damaging the immortals. I picked up Kael'Thas very early in the draft, and our teammate opted into Li Ming then on top of that. We're running double mage. Luckily, the enemy team is not hugely in a position to actually spec into things that would hurt a mage. I think they picked Lily, which was a terrible choice. I think Brightwing does what Lily does, except better, especially against double mage. And then they pick Myrddin, who's not a very good anti-mage tank. Well, he's fine, but he's not as good as some of the others, like a Nubkeks would be. I presume we banned a Nubkeks out. I don't remember at this stage. And then Sylvanas, I think even Sonya and certainly Lunara can spec into spell shields and such, but it is quite weak. So we actually trade kills down here at the bottom. We were fighting in 2v3, so Li Ming perhaps going a bit too aggressive right there, but nice turnaround by the enemy team. We did manage to pick off Myrddin, but certainly early in the game we're going to be a bit weaker. There you go, throwing out some burst damage onto the Sylvanas and then having to Heartstone. I'm out of mana and health both. But yeah, basically the idea behind this talent build It's Verdant Spheres build. I'm going for a couple of things. Basically, this is going to give me a lot of sustain without relying on regen globes, which means I'm going to be able to fight around these immortals and sustain myself with my mana and my health by popping basically my Verdant Spheres as often as possible. That's going to help me sustain through these prolonged fights in the middle, where not necessarily even prolonged fights, but you know, regen globe less fights in the middle. And the level 7 talent, I should be picking it up right about now. We have hit level 7. You can see these are kind of flipped, even though we're on the other sides up here. But yeah, I've gone for Sunfire Enchantment, which is actually getting slightly nerfed in the next patch. The patch is on PTR at the moment, be coming out, I think, tonight, if I'm not mistaken. This is going to give me some damage against the Immortals. Again, Gravity Crush. Applying vulnerability when I stun someone with Gravity Lapse. Use this against the Immortals. This will give me damage against the Immortals. This is basically going to dictate my playstyle here, is that as opposed to the mainstream Kael'Thas playstyle, where you're trying to use your Verdant Spheres with your Gravity Lapse, and you're even saving Verdant Spheres for the Gravity Lapse cooldown to try and power Gravity Lapse as often as possible, and then just firing these off in combo with that, with the vulnerability it applies, hopefully trying to catch maybe even 2 heroes within it, and then the damage. What I'm going to be doing here much more often is empowering my Living Bomb, and just, you know, firing off an empowered Living Bomb plus that Sunfire Enchantment attack, and then using my Flame Strike and my Gravity Lapse much more I'm basically not going to be using these as like a kind of a combo, not half as often. I'm going to be using these much more kind of split up from each other, whereas the other build is very much a combo build. This build, I'm going to be able to spread things out much more. But anyway, here we go. That's you're going to see me sort of adjusting that playstyle as well, and empowering and firing off my Living Bombs with that Sunfire Enchantment very often. That's basically the name of the game here. Let's put the camera back on. You can see it looks like we are going to lose this Immortal. Firing off some damage on the Sonya. Sonya's actually gone very low. I think Sonya, I think she will live. Our Rhaegar is getting a bit annoyed. I think he was somewhat correct about that. I think our heroes were very slow. Diablo flipping that Murden actually almost helped him live, but he does die. So a nice little double kill, which is actually really nice timing to have a couple of heroes dead for the start of the Immortal phase. Will help us take it down fairly well. But yeah, I think our team was fairly weak in terms of their rotations and such. But anyway, it was also interesting in the draft that they let Kael'Thas actually went through the first bans and the first pick. I was actually our team was second picks, so in the second picks, the enemy team, I think they first picked I think it was Sylvanas they first picked, or Lunara, I don't remember which, and then I picked up Kael'Thas. But as you see, they only got the wall down with that Immortal, so that's not too bad at all. Actually, by picking up those kills, we were able to defend it quite well. But certainly, we really don't want to be losing these Immortals. You can see me kind of missing my Gravity Lapse right there. Again, not quite used to playing this other Kael'Thas build right there. So that's definitely not helping. But you will, again, as I said, see me sort of adjusting my build and my playstyle over the course of this draft to try to just make the most out of. Oh, I was wondering if Diablo might interrupt Rhaegar's Hearthstone right there. He didn't though. But there you go. As you can see, I'm trying to just like poke the Lunara as well. Whenever I can, I really want to throw down that a Verdant Sphere's Living Bomb basic attack combo onto Lunara. It does a big chunk of damage, which is really going to hurt her. I think my Gravity Lapse aim is quite poor in this game. Again, not quite used to it. But yeah, like you're going to see whenever I get close to her, I'm able to empower that and just smack her in the face, and it's going to do an awful lot of damage. Couldn't you do this in my... Okay, so everyone is raging at each other. I think he's raging about the Apocalypse here. Is that he wants to combo Apocalypse with Void Prison. He didn't actually manage that. I think at the same time... Oh yeah, so I thought he was talking about me. This guy is, man, like the passive aggressive of like the little short sentences, it's like you're biting off your words, damn. At the same time, Li Ming did die in the bottom lane solo to Sonya, which is pretty bad. I presume it was the leap that killed her. Pretty bad either way, but I guess we'll just have to live with it. They're going fairly aggressive here. I'm just trying to throw out, you know, stuns and damage to do as much as I can. We'll see how things go. But yeah, certainly I think their team has an advantage on the Immortals. What did Li Ming build? Li Ming went for an orb build. Normally on this map you'd go like a Arcane Presence, Astral Presence? Yeah, you go Astral Presence and then like full Magic Missiles build, which is like the best against the Immortals. Here we go. Okay, so another Immortal race. Again, they have Lunara level 7 now. She's going to do a ton of damage. Yeah, I'm just doing my my Living Bomb burst there once again. I have my Gravity Lapse ready. I have my my Phoenix down as well, doing a bit of zoning. Got a bit of damage down with that too. See, my mana is quite low, but I'm able to... Look at this Lunara. Boom. Huge chunk of damage comes out just from that Verdant Sphere's Living Bomb basic attack burst. And that actually forces her to back away. Like, she was winning that fight, but then that little bit of burst coming from those talent choices lets us just mop up that fight. Again, look at that. Sonya melting just over at the edge of the screen. Yeah, it's a very different Kael'Thas build from the other builds, but it's still very good. It also scales very well later into the game as well with our level 13 and level 16 talents. We'll talk about those when we get to them. They're going to be essentially the same as the regular build I go for on Kael'Thas. I'm trying to Hearthstone here, but I think I actually decide against it. I'm just worried that my health and stuff is very low. I'm actually going to tap the well, so that was definitely a strategic mistake for me. It's actually giving them a big advantage, kind of cancelling my Hearthstone. In fact, if I'd run to the well first place, it would have been much better off, and that was probably the right choice actually, being a little bit greedy. I'm just going to try to do as much damage as I can, kind of messing up my combo there a little bit, just kind of panicking at the moment. Throwing in the Phoenix just to zone them out a little bit and get some more damage down. If we can get some kills, Sonya leaping in, but she does fall down, getting a big chunk of damage down on the Murden as well. Rhaegar is chasing. Zeratul picks up a kill to the left-hand side as well, and there you go. Excellent. That it was a tough spot for us there, losing the Immortal, but we attacked into it. I had bad positioning in that fight, some bad choices from me, but we did turn it around in the end and pick up 3 kills, which once again really neutralizes what they're able to do. Again, just look at that, boom, just chunking that Lunara down, just making her afraid. It's like, okay, you want to come basic attack me? Well, guess what? I am a Verdant Spheres build Kael'Thas, so I'm going to just attack you right back. So watch out, basically. It's working pretty well. They do take down the fort again, the Immortal. This is now, what is it, the 3rd Immortal in the game, so even without heroes backing it up, it's still pretty powerful. But there you go, we have hit level 13. At level 13, I will, without shadow of a doubt, be going for Pyromaniac. So each time Living Bomb deals periodic damage, your basic ability cooldown is reduced by a second. This is, it's going to combo really well. So essentially, the theory is here that I'm using my Verdant Spheres to empower my Living Bomb, which means it's got no cooldown. So I have like a Living Bomb every 6 seconds. Fantastic, right? Really, really good. So that means that, okay, I'm getting Living Bombs as often as I possibly can. That's really the goal of this build, because that's what lets me fire my Verdant Spheres off on cooldown and get the most value out of my talents, level 1 to level 7. And then the level 13 talents is going to combo just super, super well with that. Sonya going in super deep here. We're just focusing firing on her. Looks like she did pick up Spell Shield, but it's not going to save her from that damage. Let me move off here just so we can capture this fight. We have Apocalypse coming out. I think a little bit overly ambitious. I don't think we're in a really good spot right here. Again, just throwing out the damage on Lunara. Unfortunately, I missed the stun Flame Strike combo. But we did get nice damage down on her, even just with Living Bomb alone. But yeah, basically this means that it's going to increase our damage and our stuns just a lot in general, because we're getting so many Living Bombs off. That Pyromaniac is just, it's a no-brainer with this particular build. It's a no-brainer. At level 16 then, I'll obviously pick up Sun King's Fury as well, which will increase our basic attack damage against anyone who's got a Living Bomb on them. And then level 20, Master of Flames, which will spread Living Bombs. And it's just, we're just going to be doing crazy, crazy work, poking with that Living Bombs and our basic attacks. And that's basically the gist of this build. And then firing off Flame Strikes whenever there's a good opportunity. And then using our stuns just whenever there's a good opportunity. Obviously, you can empower your stun if you're going to get a good situation to empower your stun. You've seen me empower Flame Strikes a couple of times, just when Living Bomb's been on cooldown, so need the burst or what have you. I think at this point I actually got pretty good damage against the Immortal, which is where I'd like to be, but this will work as well. Throwing some damage down on Sonya. Even with Spell Shield, she takes a pretty nasty chunk, and it certainly zoned her out of the fight. But maybe not the best to spend all my abilities on her, but boom, look at that. The Li Ming getting huge value in that particular fight. We actually rack up a triple kill right there. I didn't do very much apart from zoning out the Sonya, which is certainly valuable, but well played by my teammates for pulling that one off. That was quite incredible. Sonya's gone too deep. Unfortunately, the Diablo flip actually flips her out of what I was trying to do right there. A Wailing Arrow comes out from Sylvanas, which is kind of zoning me off a little bit. I'm just being cautious here. I don't want to die. Nice damage on the Sonya once again. She has to leap out, so that's her heroic gone, so that's pretty nice. That's pretty good for us. Looks like we did win that fight actually without using any of our big heroics at initial fight. We still have Void Prison, Apocalypse and Ancestral still good to go, whereas the enemy has burnt Leap and Wailing Arrow. Don't know if they've managed to burn the Lily thing or if she got killed pretty early on, not sure. But pretty happy about that all the same. You can see here, I'm kind of humming and hawing about where to go. I'm like, do I need to go to the fountain? Do I not? This is actually favorable position for us. The enemy team has to fight their way through us, and that's fine because we've been winning all the team fights. And again, we have a lot of our heroics. Just using that empower thing to ensure I got some damage down on him. There we go. Apocalypse into the Void Prison. The full combo's going to land. I'm going to throw my Phoenix down on top of that. Throwing the chain bombs, doing as much damage as I can. Trying to focus down whoever I can. Taking some damage from the Sylvanas, but it's not much of a threat. The Ancestral comes out from Rhaegar, ensuring I stay alive. I was actually fairly safe, but no harm in throwing that off. I mean, we've won the fight now anyway. So that's pretty fantastic. You can see the Flame Strike cooldown is very, very short now. Because of Pyromaniac, our level 13 talent, we're going to get a lot of damage out. And yeah, it's basically the same combo as well, I should mention, for PvE. It always is, pretty much, which is Verdant Spheres, Living Bombs on cooldown, and then Flame Strikes on cooldown as well. You get a lot of damage done. Now we're going to get a really, really nice split push here. I'm just going to start pushing over here. Again, towers, structures, it's all the same. Just Verdant Spheres, Living Bomb, no surprise. You can even use Phoenix if you want to. I might even do so later on. You can see I kind of messed up my combo right there somewhat. Or maybe I was going for Wave Clear, I'm not entirely sure. I guess it didn't really matter too much in the end. There you go, Myrddin. He's being a bit of a pain in the ass. He just Dwarf Toss away from my Gravity Lapse. That's fine. The big weakness of this build is that without the Gravity Lapse talent at level 4, it does become much harder to actually land that ability. The extra range is really fantastic. But that's okay. So I am actually going to throw the Phoenix in here just to like zone the enemies out while we're pushing on this gate. We can also see, I think it's Lunara, or no, it's Sonya's lurking around the side there on the very left. You can see that on the mini-map. You might spot her here now as well. Now I've moved the camera over a little bit. There she is, look at that. She's looking for a good leap opportunity. You can see that my Verdant Spheres are helping me just maintain a little bit of mana so I can keep staying in this particular fight. There you go, just throwing out those bombs as much as I can. Just doing a lot of damage just over time to this Myrddin. It's pretty effective. A very nice, very, very nice Void Prison here. The Immortal actually stuns him into that. I'm going to throw my Verdant Spheres, my stuns into that. The Apocalypse, I'm not sure if it only just came off cooldown there. I wasn't looking, but it was a bit mistimed, so I'm actually glad I empowered my Verdant Spheres throughout that particular fight just to help with that. And there you go. The enemy core does fall. GG all around. Well played, everybody. We could up the stats screen here. As you can see, 0 deaths, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. We did a substantial amount of siege damage. Li Ming did more. Again, the Astral Presence doing work, I believe. I think hers would be even higher if she did go for a Magic Missile build. Our hero damage was actually surprisingly high, I would say, for this build. I think we got a lot of poke damage down, some decent AoE damage in fights. And yeah, I mean, very, very different style of Kael'Thas build from, again, the other most common meta build, which is better, to be fair, on most maps. But this one works as well, and especially on this map. And that's what I kind of want to show you, was adjusting your playstyle, adjusting your talent build. Again, let's see if we can pop up the talent build. We can't. Give me 1 second here. There we go. If we rewind the replay like this much, I guess. We didn't get to level 20, but I would have picked up Master Flames, I think, with this particular build. If we, I think it's Control 1. There we go, Control 1. Again, just going over this build really quickly and showing you what I've got here. So Fel Infusion, Mana Tap, Sunfire Enchantment. Again, the whole theory being Battlefield of Eternity. What are the needs of this particular map? Well, the needs of this map are being able to DPS down Immortals. And that is something that occurs without the help of any regen globes. So don't want to pick up the regen globe talent at level 1. Want to pick up these two talents for sustain while in the middle. And then the Sunfire Enchantment for, well, just combos well with what I've already got going. And it's also the most helpful against the Immortals. And it's, yeah, so just nice all around. Phoenix, of course, just the most useful. Heroic here. Pyromaniac, again, combos fantastically with what we've already got. And the playstyle we have, which is Verdant Spheres, Living Bombs all the time, is going to combo fantastically with that. Also, just increases our damage, and it's really good against the Immortals as well, who don't care about Backdraft, which slows, or Fission Bomb, which increases the radius. Like, they're irrelevant against the Immortals, so Pyromaniac is the one we want. And Sun King's Fury then, again, obviously combos super well with everything else we've got. Also the strongest level 16 in my opinion. I could go for the one that gives you a second charge of Verdant Spheres. I don't even remember the name, to be honest. And it's nice, but I personally prefer the Sun King's Fury. It gives you more upfront burst. I don't know. Actually, to be honest, I think that's a tough one. I think both can work. You see, the reason that Sun King's Fury remains really good, even though obviously a second charge of Verdant Spheres combos extremely well with everything we've got at these particular ranks, it's an interesting choice. So you get, if you activate a second Verdant Spheres, you get like a free spell doing another 357 damage, whereas this is 267 damage every time you attack someone with Living Bomb. So I think it does add up to more value than this would. The extra health and mana are nice. It's certainly an option as well, because it does give you a chance to empower your Gravity Lapse. Empowering Flame Strike really isn't worth it. It only increases the radius, so in a team fight it's not really worth it unless you've spec'd into it, which you probably shouldn't. Definitely being able to empower Gravity Lapse and Living Bomb is nice, or firing up to, I suppose, empower Living Bombs. But I think Sun King's Fury just in general, it just has so much value just up front in the team fight, up front burst, and that empowered Gravity Lapse is weaker without the level 4 talent for sure, just in terms of being able to land it on multiple people. But it's definitely an option. I think Sun King's Fury though is the more consistent one, and also, as I mentioned in the video, it took a little bit of time to adjust for me in this game to this playstyle. I had to get my head around it and kind of work out like how to play it and be like, okay, yeah, I want to be empowering my Living Bombs, yeah, that's what I want to do, and like, okay, I'm missing Gravity Lapses, need to get used to using this other talent. This, I can keep this the same as my other talent builds, and it still makes sense with what we've got and the way we're playing this build, so I'm going to do that. Even purely for this, the purpose of saying, well, it's what I'm used to, therefore that's what I'm going to stick with, because that, just by keeping some similarity between your builds when it makes sense, is good, because it makes the transition a little bit easier, I suppose. That Master Flames at level 20 would be, I think, the choice with this build. Rebirth is also good, but I think seeing as we're focused so much on Living Bombs here, I think the Master Flames makes the most sense. And yeah, there you go, guys. I hope that was good help. I hope it was insightful. I think it was a pretty cool game, and I think it should combo well with the other Kael'Thas game. Again, if you want to see the meta build to the other playstyle, the very combo oriented playstyle, and that's also a very good game. I think it's a bit more of an even game as well. And with lots and lots of very, very good players in that game. This was certainly a very solid level game, I would say. Good play all around, but I think that game is even higher standard play. But yeah, you can see the other, Kael'Thas build, and you can kind of compare them and also kind of be working at like, okay, well, what would... You could even like think of it in your mind and kind of look at it and say, okay, if I was playing, let's say if I was playing this the Felon Fusion build in that other game, how would it have worked? Would it have done as good? If I was playing the Mana Addict build from that game in this game, would it have done as well? Would it have worked as good? Worked as well. God damn it, grammar. And yeah, I think it's an interesting exercise. And again, I think it's so important to, tailor your builds to the maps and stuff. Again, I think people neglected Kael'Thas in this draft. I couldn't show you the draft, unfortunately, but they neglected him in this draft, and I was able to pick him up in the second rotation because they figured, hey, Kael'Thas isn't good at this map. But then they didn't obviously bank on the fact that you can build, like, you can go for a different build apart from the meta one, the most common one. So, I mean, yeah, just bear in mind, guys, there is no... For most heroes, except for like the really old ones who typically get reworked because they get stuck in one build, there often isn't like a single best build or single best talent in every tier, and that you're going to be tweaking your builds based on the map and the team compositions and the needs of each different game. And I hope I've illustrated that in this game. Give it a like if you found it helpful or insightful, and do check out that other Kael'Thas game. And yeah, check out all the other stuff I've got on the channel. Plenty of Heroes of the Storm content as well there. And I will see you guys next time for more Heroes of the Storm stuff. Bye bye.